So we have come to our first main example. And in this example, we want to see how we can create a list of numbers. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in A1 to A5. Now, if you wanted to do this manually, you would write 1, write 2, select both of them, and then you will have to drag it down. Now, we don't want to do this. We want all of this to happen automatically. So this is going to be a slightly longer lecture because I will write a basic code for you and then also tell you how to improve that code. So let us come to our VBA window. Now, there are two ways of writing another code. We can either write the subroutine below the current one, or we can even create a new module. So let me create a new module here, and I will rename the module and call this serial number. Let's call this sub serial number. And we will keep it very simple in the beginning. We will say that we want numbers from 1 to 5 to come in A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5. Which means that I want numbers from 1 to 5, which means that in 1 comma 1, which means first row and first column, I want 1. In 2 comma 1, we want 2. And you get the idea, right? So we want 3 comma 1 to be 3, 4 comma 1 to be 4, and then finally 5 comma 1 to be 5. So if you notice, the column number is not changing. It is 1 in all the 5 rows, but the row number keeps on changing, where the minimum is 1 and the maximum is 5. Now, how do you do this in a programming logic? We will say that let's declare a variable called I as an integer. Then we will say that for I is equal to 1 to 5, which means that I want the value of I to be 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. But then how does the code know that it has to move from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5? We will have to put a next. And then how do you see whether the result is coming properly or not? To do this, like I said earlier, you can now use your embedded window, and I can write debug.print I. Now see what happens. The moment I run my code, so I can click on the run button here, you notice it gives us 5 numbers from 1 to 5, and this is exactly what we wanted. Now that we have tested the code, let us put these numbers in the appropriate cells. So we can say that cells. Now what is my row and column number? My row number, remember, will keep on changing. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we can keep I as the row number. But the column number is obviously fixed, so we keep it as 1. And then what is the value that comes inside? The value is I. So think about what is happening. The very first thing that VBA does is it puts the value 1 inside the variable I. Then it goes to the cell 1 comma 1 and then puts the number 1. Then it goes to the next value of I, which is 2. Then it goes to the cell 2 comma 1 and posts the number 2. And it keeps on doing this in a loop till it reaches the number 5. Let's see how this works. I will simply create a shape, assign my macro called serial number. And if you notice, when I click on this button, it gives me 5 numbers from 1 to 5. Excellent, right? Now, if you want to change it to 1 to 10, you simply have to come back and make it 10. And if you again click, you notice it gives you numbers from 1 to 10. So if this code is working perfectly, then why do we need to change it? The problem is that the end user does not, in most likelihood, understand VBA, which means that you cannot expect them to go back to the code and make this change every single time. So we will do this a little smartly. What I want to do is, to take the endpoint from the user. That means that rather than me deciding as the developer that the last number should be 10, I want the user to decide what the last number should be. So let's just say that there is a cell which is C2, and I will also color this. And in C2, the user is choosing the number that they want. For example, they can write 5 here or 10 or 4 or 14, and automatically that will become the stop number for my code. Now we know that the cell is C2, so we can come back to our VBA code and we can say that a variable stop num is equal to range C2 dot value. So I hope this makes sense. Whichever number the user is choosing in the cell C2 will now become a variable called stop num. And where will we use stop num now? We can simply write stop num here. Now do remember, if you wanted to, we could even have come here and written range C2 dot value, in which case we don't need to write this. But you know what? This looks a little inelegant because it looks very complicated. The person might not understand why have you chosen a range value as a counter. And that's the reason it is always advisable to save the number in a variable and then use the variable here. Let's see how this works now. So let me put 3. If I click on the button, it gives me 1 to 3. If I say 10, then it gives me all the way from 1 to 10. So this is working great. But the problem here is that the user is not able to choose the starting number. So for example, let us say that the user wanted to get numbers from maybe 5 to 10 like this. Now, how do we enable him to do that? Now, just like we have done now, we can make one more option where the user can choose the start number and the stop number. So let us say from 5 to 10. So remember, range C2 dot value is my start number and my stop number is equal to C5 dot. So we can simply copy and paste this C5 dot value. And then I is equal to start num to stop num. But there is a bit of a problem, right? If I run the code, it will work, but you will see a little bit of a problem. You notice that it is only giving me the numbers from A5 to A10. Why is it not starting on 1, comma 1? The reason is because we have chosen I, comma 1, which means that the first value 5 will come in the fifth row and the first column. And obviously we don't want that. What we want is that the first value should come even now in the first row and the first column. So what we want to do here is we want to say that this is my first row. So we will say that I is equal to 1 and then we will change this to j. Now remember, we don't want the value to come in the fifth row. So we are not choosing j, we are choosing I. But the value will not be 1, the value will be j. Let's see how this works. This time when we press the button, you notice that something weird is happening. It is showing you the numbers in A1, but it is showing you 10 in A1. Let's see how this is working. If I create a debug.print, you will notice debug.print j. You will notice when we run the code that it is showing me the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But then why are all the numbers coming in the same cell? The reason is because all the numbers are coming in 1, comma 1, which means the first row and the first column. How do we fix it? We say that I should be incremented by 1, which means that I is the first row, j is from 5 to 10. Then in 1, comma 1, we are putting the number 5, and then we increase the row by 1. That means that row becomes number 2. And then we take j as 6, and then in 2, comma 1, we are putting 6, and so on and so forth. Let's see how we get the final result now. So now when I press on the button, we get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we change it to, let's say, 3 and 14, then we get from 3 to 14. Right. So I hope you're able to see how we took a basic code and then we kept on improving the code. In fact, there is a computing term available for this. This is called refactoring. So refactoring is a technique that allows you to take an existing body of code and then you change the internal structure. That means that you improve it without changing the external behavior, which is exactly what we were doing right now. In layman terms, you can look at refactoring as an improvement that you're making to your code. So we will do one final example. And in this one, I don't want the user to go through the hassle of writing these numbers in C2 and C5. What if they make a mistake? What if they forget to do it properly? So I want to remove this entire thing. And we want to give the user an input box. That means that rather than the user having to choose the start and the end number from the Excel cells, he can actually put the numbers inside a box. For example, when you press Ctrl F, you see this box, right? Now this is a little bit like an input box because it takes an input from the user. So this time we will say that, let me just copy this code. Okay, so this time we say serial number with input box, and we will say that start number is not coming from C2 dot value, it is coming from input box where we're telling the user, please enter start num, right? And then we can just copy and paste this. And in the next one, I will say, please enter the stop num. Now remember the rest of the code remains exactly the same. And how does it work now? Let me assign the macro for the shape to serial number with input box. And you will notice that when I click on this shape, it will give me a prompt asking me, choose your start number. Let us say it is 5. I press OK, then it says enter your stop number, which is, let's say, 15. And when I press OK, we will get these numbers. Excellent, right? Again, if I want from 3 to, let's say, 18, it will give me numbers from 3 to 18. So we did quite a number of things in this example. I showed you how you can write a basic code, how you can declare, how you can give a comment, how you can create a counter using I, and then also how you can create a for and next loop. It's called a loop because it keeps on looping till it reaches the last number. And then finally, I also introduced you to the input box, which is very handy because it creates a very positive user experience. Where if the user wants to put in a number, he doesn't have to do that in a cell, but he can actually do it in a box that you have given.